What would you say are the key elements of your success?
I would say networking is definitely at the top of the list. And under that umbrella of networking is treating people well, because you never know who anybody is. And I'm sure everyone's been in a position where they had a run in with someone that was either negative or positive, and it influenced an opportunity. I believe that being mindful of how you talk to people, how you greet people, how you treat people, even not talking about people behind their back, being mindful of, if I say this, whatever I say or whatever I write, I don't want to feel bad if it gets back to the person who I'm talking about. So just be really aware of what you're putting on paper and what you're putting in the atmosphere coming back to you. You always want to represent yourself in the best way possible. Even with social media, how you brand yourself, who are you and what do you want to be known for? You don't work according to what you get paid. You work according to how you want to represent yourself. And so I'm not going to work harder if I'm getting $1 million than if I'm getting $1,000. If I agree to do something, I want to make sure I do it well. I feel like back then it was more like a 24/7 work approach. Now it's like a balance. Work has definitely evolved from when I was coming up. It was like a hazing. Remember, it used to be like, yo, sleep when you die, sleep is the cousin of death, and all of that. And now it's like, listen, make sure you self-care. I don't think anyone talked about self-care when I was coming up. But hard work is important. I don't care if that means for the 8 hours that I'm working today or 4 hours that I'm working today, whatever it is that people do, make sure that you are working no matter what you're getting paid for it. If somebody gives you an opportunity to do it, just take it, because you're brand new at this and you're just getting started. And the only way you'll get better is experience. And there's a lot of things I've done in my life that I didn't have experience in, that I just would get thrust and jump into something and figure it out. It's like the idea of mastery and how long it takes to master something. The more you do something, the more comfortable you'll be at it and the better you'll get at it. I used to be petrified to get on stage and talk in front of people, like heart racing. I might pass out, hands shaking. And I used to be like that even when I first started in radio, to get in front of the mic and do that. Because I've done it so much now, I'm a lot more comfortable with it. I don't think there's anything wrong with being nervous. It does sometimes mean that you care, but it can prevent you from doing things. As long as you're not nervous to the point that you talk yourself out of doing things.
In terms of networking, how can someone be an effective networker, right? Because it can be challenging.
Yeah, it is, because it's hard even sometimes for me. There's still situations where I feel awkward. Yeah, like now Rogers invited me to this event. I think it was for Fendi. And he's like, yeah, come out with me to this. I didn't know what it was, what was going on. I came and I really did not know anybody there. And that's rare for me, to be in those situations where I really don't know anyone. And you just feel so awkward. So I know it's not easy, but I think it's important to be in those situations sometimes. I mean, what's the worst thing that's going to happen is that you feel a little silly and foolish, and then you go home and you're like, damn. But you don't want to waste those opportunities. And so I think for networking is go out. If it's something that interests you and you know there's going to be people there that you would like to meet, go and participate. If it's a town hall for your senator or whatever it is, just go out. You never know who you're going to meet. It could be one person that really changes the trajectory of your whole career and life. Yeah, you have to force yourself to be in those situations and just leave the house and go out. And a lot of times there's these panels, there's these mixers, there's all these different things and opportunities that we don't take advantage of. Even for me, working with the small business services here to do things with people like-minded who are business owners like myself, for me to go to some of the events and things that they have, that's been really important for me too, to meet other entrepreneurs.
But so you go to these events, right? But how do you stand out? I'm sure people will come up to you all the time. The people that stand out, what do they have in common?
I think it's good when, if you go to something and there's somebody specific who you want to meet. I had a friend who was a publicist when we were both coming up in the business together, and she would know who she wanted to meet purposefully, go places. And when she met them, she would go over, connect with them, know things about them and what they had going on. She knew that she wanted to work at a specific record label. And so she met the woman who was in charge of PR at the label. I'll never forget this. I was like, I can't believe she just did this and really made it happen. But we went to an album listening party that the publicist put together. And she went over, introduced herself, and was like, hey, can we catch up later? Because people's egos play a part too. It's flattering for someone to be like, oh, I love what you've been doing and I admire what you do so much. And here's what I do. And I would love for us to connect. And if you ever need help with anything, offer your services to somebody and say, if you ever need help, or I do this, so here's what I can bring to the table for you. And I think people just appreciate that, even just the support. And I think it's so much easier now with social media. You can meet somebody somewhere, or maybe you went somewhere that they were at and didn't meet them. Leave a comment on their page, something nice to make some type of connection, and follow them and send a DM, and just don't be creepy ever, but just do those things in a really tasteful way that's classy. And people do appreciate that. And then when you do meet them in person, if you didn't have that opportunity or you do see them again, they'll know who you are because you've engaged with them. And I just feel like we didn't have that when I was coming up, but we have that now. A lot more access to people to connect.
So you get in the room and do your research first so that when you come across the people that you want to connect with, you can have meaningful conversations. And then after that, follow up.
Follow up. Yeah. And not like an annoying follow-up, but more helpful. Anytime that you can be helpful to somebody or supportive, or if they're a business owner, you can go to their business and take a picture and tag them in it and leave a good review and things like that. That means a lot to people. And then when there's an opportunity that can come up, and have your stuff together so that if somebody's like, oh, you do social media management, well, do you have a place where I can see it? You need to be able to be like, yeah, what's your email, and send it right away. Make sure that you're prepared, and don't have it like a piece of paper or whatever that somebody has to take. Just do something so that they don't have to take anything home with them right there, but you can send something afterward. Because I don't think anybody at an event wants to walk around holding stuff that people give them. But if you can follow up, send an email.
So in terms of branding, what can we do to brand ourselves?
I think first thing you have to do is figure out who you are. I remember I was telling somebody one day, you got to be more focused on what it is that you want to do. You can't just do something because somebody offers it to you. You got to do things and really manage your time so that you're focusing on things that you care about. Somebody wants you to model their t-shirt line. No, like I need more than just that. It has to be something I'm passionate about. So I think when it comes to branding yourself, finding out what it is that you're passionate about and how you want to pursue that and take it. For me, it's great to write things down. So I love putting together, even if it's just for me, like a deck of what it is and taking inspiration from other places, doing my research and seeing what other services or what other things like that I offer are available, and how can I fine tune it so that it's more relevant to who I am and what it is that I'm doing. And then it also comes with being consistent. Like you should have a logo, figure out so that every time people see that, they know that that's you. You should have a website. You should have all of these things in place. You should have your social media together. You just have to figure out what your niche is that you are great at and what you care about.